here we go. We have episode 5 in VALO Podcast. And today we do this session again in English. I love that there is a variety. We do it in Finnish and English.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that my next guest here is Anna.
Yay. Hi.
Welcome, Anna. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
I love your smile and your positive attitude.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, my first question is that how you're feeling this morning?
How am I feeling? I have mixed emotions when I see the snow again. It makes me feel like, how long? But you know what? Such is life, right? In Finland.
That is true.
Yes.
But you have hope and then...
Yes. I have many other things that are positive. I have heard good news recently with my business side. So that's been really nice. But then, you know, when I woke up to see the snow... It took me back. But
how does it what does it symbolize to you?
I guess symbolize, I don't know. I feel like many things in Finland make me feel like it is a long process behind it.
Right. So you have to be patient.
Patience. Very good. Yes, patience. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, I think that's something that I've learned a lot in Finland, actually. The positive side is to be patient and to dig deep when things aren't going the way that you want. Because, you can't control circumstances, but you can control how you feel inside. And that's something that I've really learned while I've been walking with God. So I love that about Finland, that it's the sisu, that sisu side that people talk about, the grit, the perseverance. I've definitely learned that in Finland. So I appreciate that, even though it's hard at times. But yeah. So.
And sisu, I guess it can mean many things.
Sure.
But like, I guess what comes to my mind is also like trusting yourself. But I guess trusting God.
Yes.
Especially.
Yes, definitely.
So being patient and trusting.
Yes, the process.
The process.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, so Anna, you are talking about Finland, but where you are originally from and how long you have been living in Finland?
Yes. So I'm from Australia. I was born and raised there. My parents immigrated from South Korea in the 80s, but my brother and I grew up there our whole lives. And then I met my husband on the youth Bible school in Switzerland. How many years ago now? 15 years ago, I think. Yeah. And then we got married. We moved to Finland before we got married, but it was in 13 years ago. So now it's been about almost 13 years since I've been living in Finland.
Wow.
Yeah.
So quite many years of from your like adulthood life.
Yes, definitely. Which I never really thought was going to happen, to be honest. I thought we would already be back in Australia after a few years, but just circumstances with family and having babies, I guess Finland just felt the right place for that time. And so, now we've been here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thanks for sharing that. And so my podcast is about stories. We all have stories. And I would like to concentrate on your story today. And you can bring whatever you feel it's right thing to say today. But does your story somehow involves Finland or Australia, or is there anything like how you would like to start today? Is there some kind of questions you would like to be asked?
I think while I was just praying and thinking about what I would share today, I think the biggest part that has happened with my faith with God is that I have learned to find my identity in Him. Growing up in Australia, it was like when you look Korean, Asian, and there's not a lot of Asians around you, you have like a really hard time like knowing your identity, because you feel and you sound Australian, but you look different. And I got bullied growing up as well. So that, like, you get confused as a child growing up. You're like, I look different, but I feel Australian, but there's no one around me that looks like me. So there's a lot of like identity crisis that I had growing up. And I grew up in a Christian family, so I'm thankful for that because that helped me a lot. But still growing up in a Christian family, you're kind of born into it, so you're not really like sure until you have like a revelation, I feel, and you have your own personal like relationship with God. So that was a whole process in itself. And I feel like even Finland, although Australia, like I learned a lot through church and just my relationship with God, Finland was a real like turning point in a sense that I got deeper with my personal relationship with God.
Right.
Because it's so stripped back here, I feel. Like there's no flashy, there's no like church like hype. Like it's quite calm and quite like chill in a sense. And you're not really performing even at church, because I feel like in some churches you perform.
Right.
And there is like this pressure to lead or like to be spiritual and like it's almost like showing off in a sense.
You have to have a certain role or a status. Or
Even in that, even in a church setting. But then in Finland, we didn't have any of that. And so it really made me kind of search again, like my true identity in God as a daughter of God, like without anything else, without any noise. So that's what I feel like I want to share today, and that process and journey. So
right. So identity, it's quite a big word.
it is.
What does it mean to you personally? How you would deep into that? What is self-image?
That's a good
identity.
question. Identity. I guess if I would compare it from a worldly perspective and then from a kingdom perspective, which is from the Bible, I feel like in the worldly perspective, there's many, like you can grab it from a title, from maybe even your profession,
right,
from your role as a mother or as a friend or a wife. I feel like there's many titles that are attached to your identity in the world perspective, and it's kind of what we're very used to from the cultural side. But I feel in the kingdom side, that's detached from all of that. So it becomes more about finding what God calls you to be. Either it be kind of like, I think people try to find it through gifting or like maybe like your personality, but I feel like it goes deeper than that. I feel like when you look at the Bible, it talks about like specific like people in the Bible, like Gideon, like God calls him mighty God of like the mighty armor of God or something like very specific, but it's not attached to his role, like his profession or anything. It's more about like the essence of who they are. So it's something that I've been learning over the years. And when I like even look at the Bible, when God is like giving the Holy Spirit to Jesus before he starts ministry, he calls him and he says, when the dove comes down and like blesses Jesus when he's getting baptized, he says, my beloved son in whom I am well pleased with. And that is the essence of before he starts anything, God is already loving him and calling him. And he's like, you are perfect. Like before you do anything, before you produce anything, the way that I created you is actually perfect. And I think a lot of people don't have that revelation, because when we're created in the womb, that's how he sees us, perfect and already made. And he calls us his children. So I think that whole like shift of like producing versus just being who we are made to be, I think that changes everything. And that's something that, I feel like identity has to change from this producing to being. So I would say that.
Well, that's beautifully said. And can you like try to share some parts that how you say what you're saying today, and I feel like you're kind of believing what you're saying, that you have maybe found this identity that you feel that it's right way to look at yourself.
Yeah.
So what have been the turning points or the things when you look maybe your life as some kind of a map or something? What comes to your mind that, wow, this was a moment that I became more like me?
Yeah. To be honest, I think, this has been like a journey for many years, many moments, and a lot of painful moments. But I do feel like in Finland, when everything was stripped back and there was no noise and it was literally just me and God connecting. And there was one very specific moment where I was lying in bed and I was like, I think I was like half asleep, but also almost, it's like just like trying to connect with God. And he actually showed me like a image of my whole life. All the moments where I was people pleasing, because I was a people pleaser growing up.
So this was in Australia?
No, this was in Finland actually.
Right.
I think it was like my second or third year living in Finland, and it was kind of like when I was trying to get a new relationship, like deeper relationship with God, where I was like, I felt disconnected to him. And so I was like trying to like connect. Yeah. And connect and be like, okay, what do I actually believe? Who is this Jesus? I don't even know him. Like, I feel like I don't have a personal relationship with him. It's just a religion basically. Like, and of course I've had encounters with God, but like, it just felt always disconnected and then connected again. And so I was like, lying in bed and like just trying to like connect with God and like pray, and then he showed me this like whole image of my life where every moment I was people pleasing, and it was like very random things, but like I would hold back from doing what I really wanted to do because I didn't want to offend someone or I didn't want to make them feel less. So I would hold back on what I felt like would be successful, or like something, like anything that would come in my life. And I would always put others first because I think that's the right way to live. But it's actually coming from an unhealthy place because I don't want to offend or I don't want to hurt someone. Or it's this compassionate side, but it's also an unhealthy compassionate side. You know what I mean? Like it's not really like it's not from a healthy place. It's because I don't want to offend anyone, and I held back a lot. So he was like showing me, and he was like, you need to let this go now. And so I was crying and I let go, and then I was like, okay, well then, and it also kind of came out in like a victim mentality, because then you kind of inwardly say, oh well, I can't do anything, I'm not enough, I'm not able to help people really, or I'm not powerful. Those were the two things. I'm not enough and I'm not powerful. Those two lies that were the biggest things holding me back from really doing what I feel like God has called me to be and to do. And so, that moment. And then I would say another moment was at church. There was this moment where they asked us to renounce the lies that hold you back from your true identity. And it was these two. I'm not powerful and I'm not enough. And the exercise was to like write on a piece of paper the truth. And we had to take a Polaroid picture of it. And I wrote, I am powerful and I am enough. And that was like another moment where it just like, I had to declare it over my life, because when you are believing something, it's really hard to break that habit of the lie. So in the Bible it says renew your mind. Like you have to constantly, it's not just a one-time thing. Exactly. It's a daily like practice of like, God says I am enough and I am powerful. And so those were the two lies that I had to truly like speak over myself every day. And there was just a moment where like I felt like it broke off, and like I was actually believing that about myself. And I think those two moments were like the shift that happened. And then I actually started to enjoy what I brought to the table in any circumstance. And I was able to be more confident. Like the confidence came from that instead of this self-made, like fake confidence, which the world kind of backs all the time, you know, like, but it came from a real encounter with God and like him speaking to me who I really am. And then, that's how it happened. Yeah.
Right. Well, since I guess what you're sharing, I guess we can all kind of relate to, like, I guess we now and then in life, we have moments that we do not believe in ourselves and we make ourselves more little than maybe what we should be.
Yeah.
And I guess, like reading Bible and obviously like praying, those are the ways to kind of hear God's voice and feeling that, hey, I am enough and I am powerful, as you said. But do you think we should hear it from the other people too? Or,
yes.
And can you try to explain to me, like, what made you feel that you are not powerful or enough? Do you think you didn't get enough of that feedback?
Yes. I think community is a huge part of this identity process. Like I've been learning also through, there's another ministry called Identity Exchange. Actually, I highly recommend it. Right. It's so good. It's on YouTube. There's a whole ministry. They have a website, but they talk about it how if you look at all the tribal communities, like they find identity through community. Actually, it's like a ritual like process where like they name you and they actually it's through like different generations coming together and then it's like a ceremony. So I feel like we don't have that a lot in the Western culture anymore. No. And I really believe in the power of community and coming together and like I mean, God is a community. It's like Holy Spirit, God, and Jesus. They are a community and they are already the example of what we should have, like the unity of like coming together. And I think that's really powerful when we do come together. And now I forgot your second question. What was it?
I guess like as you said, like, you have to kind of work towards that you started to believe and maybe having honest conversations with God, but where you may be saying to the people that, hey, I needed these words, but I kind of didn't get it.
Yes. So that, I think I grew up in a very Korean like culture. So which is very critical. There's not a lot of encouragement. I think that Asian culture is like that, where they push to produce successful people. And there's a lot of this image that people have to put up, and it's a lot of pressure. And you see, like, even in Korea, there's a lot of suicide rates because of this. Like kids, like teenagers committing suicide because there's too much pressure on them. And so I grew up in that culture. Mine was a little less because my parents were a lot more laid back than other Asian parents, but I still had it. There was still these like passive aggressiveness in the culture where they like, for example, like
I would like to hear an example.
There would be like you'd see your relative, your auntie that you haven't seen in years, and then they'll be like, oh, you've gained weight. And that's the first thing they say to you, or you've lost weight. So there was a lot of image, like how you present yourself, how you look.
What are you doing?
Yes, what are you doing with your life? What job do you have? What university did you get into? Like, what degree did you get? And there's a lot of pressure on the parents to also brag about that. It was bragging rights, basically. So I think a lot of immigrant parents have this pressure to like show that they sacrificed a lot for their children. And so because they sacrificed and worked super hard, they are expecting the next generation to now be in a really easy place to study and get the good jobs. And like it's this immense pressure that you grow up with. And even like my dad, like he bless him, he didn't realize, like, you don't know when you're in the culture, but he would even like, one time I remember the like dining table, he would like look at me and he'd be like, oh, maybe just your nose would be just a tiny bit higher. Like my dad, I mean, you can imagine, like, as like, I think I was like 14 and like the most like vulnerable age. And
so these little comments,
these little like passive aggressive comments you grow up with, and in a sense you kind of get used to it, so you get numb to it, which is really sad, but that's how you survive, and you build this like internal like wall of like, I can get through this, I can get through anything because I've heard so much in my life. And then, but only later on when you look back, you're like, oh my God, that was so toxic and that was so hurtful. And I think I had to also renew my mind with a lot of those things too. And as I raised my boys, I have 3 boys, so realizing that my words have so much power. And so I had to really learn to like speak life over them instead of death, basically, because I feel like there is a lot of that.
Yeah, and I guess I'm a bit interested in this theme that I guess like also God wants to, in a way, like push us to do good things and kind of like, so what is kind of the healthy way as parents maybe to push our kids, but like in a very loving atmosphere, that it's not negative, since maybe you have seen kind of the
negative
side, but like, since we're talking about self-image, like how much we need that push, like, hey, like do this and do that. And,
sure.
But still like in a very, or should we just be like, hey.
You're right. Gentle parenting.
Yeah, gentle parenting. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love this topic, gentle parenting. Okay, well, I really believe there is a balance of that and allowing our kids to become resilient. I think there is a balance, and I think that's the hard part, because we're trying to find the balance. And I don't think either generation, our parents or ours, have mastered that. I don't think anybody will master it, but I think there can be a healthy place. And I think the greatest blessing is that we as parents get healed first, because then we don't unconsciously pass on things that we grew up with. Because I find even now I do that with my boys when I'm stressed and like, crap hits the fan, then you're like, but definitely if I've done the work and I've actually like processed and healed, like it's much easier to speak life over them. But I do believe the way that God parents us is a really good example. And I think that's the key to a lot of parents like renewing their mind, because I think if we don't believe that God is a good father and he doesn't speak to us well and lovingly and with patience, how are we going to parent our children in that way? And I really believe God is love, right? It's in the Bible. It's a biblical truth. He is love. So I better have received that love to be able to give that,
Yes.
And not in a worldly love way where we think it's limited and there's agendas and different like motivations behind it. But I think love is sacrifice. There is, but I do believe there's also boundaries, and I do believe there's also there's nuance to it as well, for sure. I don't think it's just black and white. But I think with kids, they're so easily motivated by love, I believe. I think when you are gentle and loving and like present with them, the motivation of that in itself is so powerful, I believe. So when we do slow down and when we do like actually invest time with them, I think that pays off more than discipline and being harsh or like using fear, because I feel like the contrast is, am I going to choose love or fear to parent them? And I believe, and I've seen that love is way more effective than using fear, which I feel like we grew up with a lot more. Fear was like a big thing. But then in love, there is boundaries and there is discipline, but it's just we haven't seen enough healthy examples of that, I think.
Right.
I think we've only seen a lot of fear-based discipline, so it's hard for us to even do it because we haven't seen it. So
we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
There was one line that I'm still thinking is that how God is parenting us. What you were just saying, do you think that that's how God is parenting us.
Yeah, I think...
And maybe like how God has been parenting you and how he has helped you through this maybe identity crisis.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think I've been wanting to learn how God is as a father, because my relationship with my father was not the healthiest. He was a great dad, but like he was quite passive. And that is the lie that I have to always like surrender to God all the time, because I see him as a passive God sometimes because of my dad. But because I've had to just trust in the word, of course, saying that he is loving and he is always there, that has now formed like a lot more healthier version of me seeing him as a good father. So I guess I'm always wanting to learn how he sees us as children, and if in the Bible it's everywhere, right? How he like sees us as his children, and but it is a deep, I guess, revelation to go down, and I don't think it ever ends. I think it's an ongoing process, and I guess seeing his relationship with Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and like all throughout the Bible, it's like we have to navigate that and like go deeper in that, and that's where you can find it, I feel.
Yeah, right. So if we try to go a little bit deeper on that kind of that situation where you kind of saw yourself or your life kind of front of you, that maybe like I have been feeling like that I'm not enough and I'm not strong enough. So this was quite a powerful moment, and maybe you had to overcome that feeling before you became a mom. But can you try to explain maybe these two things, that what you have been actually doing? I guess I always want to hear like the very practical side. And in therapy too, we are talking about like beautiful words, we should do this and we should feel that. But I always want to go to the practical, especially end of the session, like how we kind of, like what's our role, so we can give our problems and to God and kind of trust that process. But I guess he also wants that we have the active part inside of us. So what you have been doing through these two kind of big life-changing situations practically?
I think that's where the community side really comes in, because when you have people you can share these moments with, these turning point moments, and like process it externally, that really kind of solidifies the moment, I feel like. And I did that a lot with my husband, and he's like, him and I in our journey with our faith. I'm really thankful for that, because he's quite like helpful in processing things. So he was probably my number one person to like process all these like revelations and like these moments of like, oh my goodness, like God showed me this about me. And it kind of like really helped me go through it, and we'd talk back and forth about it. So I think if you have someone that you can trust that can actually go through what you felt or what you heard or what you read, and then in the next few days you can kind of go through and unpack everything, that really, I realized, helped me a lot and solidify everything that like I felt in that moment. And then obviously another way is to journal it, to like write it down,
right.
And then go back to it and actually like declare those truths over yourself, because I feel like in those moments it was always like there was a lie and there was a truth that God presented, and I had to learn to let go of that lie in a daily way, like literally daily. And I remember there was a process where, this is another topic, but my father and I, when I had to forgive him, I read in a book, it was like a Christian book about forgiveness, and they said, write it down that you forgive your dad, and you have to forgive every day for the next, I think, because it said in the Bible, there was a Jesus, one, I can't remember who it was, but someone asked Jesus, how many times should I forgive my brother if he does wrong to me? And he says 77 times 7 times, which is like, it equals to like over a year of forgiveness daily.
Right.
And so when I saw that and I was like, okay, I need to forgive him every single day for the next 2 years. I have to make a choice, a conscious choice. And so I wrote it down and I stuck it on my wall and I looked at it every single day and I prayed and I was like, Jesus, I make a choice to forgive my dad. And so when you are like make a kind of like a decision in certain areas, like whether it be a lie or forgiveness, I think that really starts to break that lie, and then you can actually renew your mind and actually start believing the truth.
100%.
So that I think that's been my practical way of getting through these really like significant moments of like,
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think that's very, very important. And I guess nowadays we are using so much time on our phones and everything is so like, out there. So I think we have kind of lost the beauty of writing things down.
Yes.
And actually recently I read this research that when we write like our maybe a dream, or I guess like that we have to forgive to someone or to ourselves, that we should write it down and it will happen more likely. Like I think the percent was like 80% than if we don't write it down.
Wow.
So I think it's a huge, huge percent that we should use our hands and I guess visually see it too.
Yes. But that's crazy, 80%.
I think I read it somewhere. It's crazy.
But that's wild. Like, and I guess even nowadays we don't write anymore. We're always typing or like
always typing.
So
let's find our pencils and papers.
Right. Exactly.
But since you mentioned like I guess start of this session or this episode that, you have a company and now we're talking about, I guess, writing things down and identity and everything. So can you try to open that area a little bit, like finding your own business? Do you feel like, hey, I can do this? Or have you been writing down your dream?
Actually, I have been typing it. Maybe I should write it. I need to apply it to my
80% chance.
I need to write it. I'm going to go home and write it down now. I have it on my laptop, all my goals and all the things that I want to do. And but that process, it's been a journey for sure. Like I never used to be a dreamer. I literally was just like before my revelations of identity, I guess I just felt like I was a victim all the time. I felt like I was always unable to bring anything to the world. So I was very insecure. So then in that sense, now to see me like writing goals and dreaming big is such a shift. Like it's so crazy to look back and be like, wow. And like thinking of like my teenage self looking forward, I would never believe that I would be sitting here doing a podcast because I was so insecure. And so just seeing all that, and now because I guess trusting that God is going to be with me every step of the way now as well with my dreams, and everything I do, I want it to be kingdom-based, kingdom-minded. I remember when I was struggling a lot, even though I was struggling back in Australia, like when I was younger, in my teens, I always printed out these Bible verses and I always put them on my walls. Just, I don't know, it just brought a lot of reassurance. And one was in Matthew, it says, seek first his kingdom and righteousness and all these things will be given to you. And so that truth has stuck with me for ever since that I had it on my wall. I just remember like that really being like, if I truly trust God, and I truly believe that he is for me and not against me, everything else will follow, And that truth is really, like, it takes a long time to really believe that. And I think that's where everything comes from now. Like, my greatest, like, ministry side of me, like, I feel like I'm also called to ministry in a sense. Like, I don't know how it looks like now, but like in the future, I feel like that's my big goal of like helping people, helping families. Another thing is sex trafficking. That's been always on my mind, like helping, like making some charity or something like that to like help women in that kind of vulnerable state. That's my big goal. But to get there, I know you need finances. I know you need funding. And I feel like a lot of Christians don't believe that we have the skills and the capacity to get there. I think we think really small, a lot of Christians. I think we don't dream big enough. And that's why the people who are successful in the world are corrupted. And we're seeing that now being exposed, right? Like people with wealth and power use and abuse that. And I've always felt like this injustice in me and being like, why can't the Christians be the one being powerful and influential in that way? Like if we have the funds, we could eliminate so many issues, but from a genuine place of the heart of the Father, right? And instead of using it for, selfish reasons. So that's kind of like my big goals. Like that's what I'm looking forward to. Like I'm not just thinking like, because I have a baking business, if no one realized, I have a sourdough baking micro bakery. I started it mainly because I wanted to be home with my kids as much as possible because they're still little. I didn't want to clock into a 9 to 5. Like I'm a hard worker, so I'm happy to go to work, but I don't want that stress of like children being at daycare too long and like my kids not being looked after if they're sick, like those basic things. I wanted to create a way to do that. So that's why I decided, like, after I started baking for a while, like this is a great opportunity, which is why I applied for the startup grant as well, which I just got. But
applauses for that.
Yes. But yeah, so that's kind of like the journey to where I got now. But now I'm allowing myself to dream even bigger, that's the big goal. And I'm from Australia, so we also want to go back to Australia. So I'm always thinking like, how can we make this business like transferable, like to another country? So that's kind of how I'm dreaming, like online, like using like the online platforms to like grow and digital products, like just a lot of like online business style things that I'm trying to think of. So that's kind of the direction I'm going. And
do you think Australia could be a place where you can dream bigger?
Yes, I do. Okay. I do. But also Finland.
So country does affect, in your opinion?
I do. But then also, I guess it is your attitude, to be honest, because I'm doing it in Finland right now, even though you hear all these things and lies about like Finland being the hardest country to be an entrepreneur. Like I hear that a lot. Like a lot of businesses fail like in Finland because there's I don't know, many reasons, but like I feel like there is this atmosphere of like you can't succeed here kind of thing. And in Australia, obviously Australia has their own like limitations and there's a lot of competition, and that's the other side. But
is the community better there to kind of
I think so. I think so the
it's kind of like, hey, go girl.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere is the different.
So we need that more.
I think so too.
I think we should cheer more.
I think
and
so.
Be like,
yes, definitely.
Your own thing, dream big.
Yeah, and I think like because Finland is a great country with like support. Like I think a lot of families are supported through the government and through like just Kela, like, you know, and so people do get comfortable. And I don't think people dream big enough in Finland.
Okay, because of maybe that.
I think the comfort side is real. Like you don't have to be pushed. Because I think in Australia, we don't have as much support. So you kind of have to hustle. Right. And I feel that in a lot of other countries, that's the like atmosphere. You have to produce something. I guess it's also can become negative, but there is this drive to do something with your life where you're kind of pressured and put into a place where you're like, what do I want from my life? Instead of in Finland, I feel like you get very comfortable and you're like, it's good. And like, I don't have to like produce anything. Like I can just live in my comfort zone, and no one really like you don't feel the pressure to perform as much, and you're kind of just like no one's really judging me, even though they are judging you, but no one is saying anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I understand what you mean.
And so no one like bothers you. Like it's so funny. I have a brother who's very introverted. And when he came to visit in summertime, he was like, I love Finland. No one talks to me. No one says hi to me. And I'm like, well, there you go. That's the difference. Like in Australia, everyone's like, hi. You know what it is.
He lives in Australia.
He lives in Australia. And he's like, hi. Like, you know, everybody you come across greets you. So that's the cultural difference I've noticed in even like dreaming big and like there's not a big culture of that. Like,
but how you could bring that attitude in your community and since you're still living in Finland?
Yeah. No, well, I guess because I'm trying, you know.
You're trying.
I'm trying. I'm putting my words into action. So I'm like, I hope I have inspired people to dream big. And
exactly. I guess especially today what you have been sharing.
Yeah.
I think it's quite inspirational.
Yeah. And that's why even through the social media side, like I know people get a lot of bad you know, feelings towards social media, but I think and believe like it is a platform that everybody uses and there's so much exposure there. Like why not bring good to it instead? And that is kind of my goal as well with my social media, that I bring people to get inspired and actually go for scary things. I don't think if you don't do scary things, you're not gonna know what's on the other side, you know. And so that's something that I'm hoping to bring to my platform, my influence, and whatever I do, like to allow people to dream big.
That's right. And I guess when we come into the terms that, you know, I am powerful and I have a lot of things inside of me, so then maybe it's easier to kind of push from that stage.
I do believe there is, like, when you have your personal encounter with God in that moment in your own prayer life, whether it be alone or with someone that you care with, or like people that you love and care about, that you trust, like identifying like that, because there's like a practical exercise that I've been learning as well, is like when I allow God, when I surrender everything that maybe is holding me back, it could just be any lie that like I'm not enough or I'm not powerful enough, and be like, okay, God, what do you think about me? Like literally asking him that question, like, God, how do you see me? And what was your purpose and goal for me in my life to bring as a gift to this world? And just that simple prayer. And it might not come the way that you expect it. Like, you know, people hear from God differently. It might come in a dream. It might come through a friend of encouragement. It might come through a Bible verse. It might come through many different avenues. But I think us being open to hear what God has for us specifically, it can change everything. So, yeah, I really encourage people to like sit down and truly like surrender the lies and be like, God, how do you see me? What is the gift that you have given me to gift the world? Because that's a completely different like thing that can be produced into, like a successful thing, like whatever you dream about. Like I think that pushes an individual more than just an outward in kind of thing. So yeah,
I love that.
I
love that. Is there anything that maybe I haven't asked today and maybe you wanted to be asked? Like, oh, Yasmin, you should have definitely asked this question. Damn.
Oh.
So is there something you would still like to share? I think that's beautiful what you just said, but I always want to ask this question because, you know, even as a therapist, I can't like know what you actually want to share today or what is actually the important thing. So that's why I always want to give that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I think we kind of touched a lot of things that I wanted to share today. So there's nothing really specific. But I think, I guess to the Finnish people, Finnish audience, I want to say, like, I know comfort is nice. And I know the culture and the environment allows this comfort. I think the winter weather is the reason, honestly, behind it. Like I see Finns come alive when the sun is out. Like it's a completely different country.
That's right.
And understandably, like I think I've learned to understand that of the Finns. Like I used to get very frustrated and very like upset about like how like different it is and how hard it is and how the culture feels cold because of the weather. Honestly, I really feel that. There's a reason. And I think my like challenge, I guess, is for the Finns is that you have permission to dream big because like you have so many resources available. Like this startup grant, like what?
Yeah.
Like people are so shocked from other countries that Finland has this. Like you guys have so many things going for you to support you, and it might be challenging, but I really believe that you guys have so much support and so much like innovation waiting to happen, and I feel like people need to start dreaming bigger and be inspired more and give back to this country in a sense, you know, like Finland has great things to give, I feel. And you guys have that sisu.
Sisu.
Yes,
so,
sisu.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
We have sisu. And
yes, exactly.
we have so many good things. So let's
exactly.
dream big.
Yes.
That's a nice sentence to end this session.
I love that.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.